Hey everyone, welcome to Ecommerce Revamped. Has your customer support team cost you a current customer or possibly lost you a new customer? Today's guest is going to tell you how to solve that problem, and we're going to talk about it right after this.
Welcome to Ecommerce Revamped, where we break down the hottest trends, insider tips, and strategies shaping the future of e-commerce. Powered by Miva, the engine behind seamless online stores. Now here's your host, Rob Stanley.
Yeah, so once again, we are going to be talking about how to fix e-commerce support before it loses you a customer. And this person that we're going to bring in, Wayne Smith from Miva, we're going to bring Wayne in actually right now. Why don't we bring him in? Hey, Wayne, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing, Rob?
Doing great. Wayne's been in customer success for many years at Miva. I wanted to have him come on because I think there's a lot of companies that basically could learn a lot from you with the years experience you had and with the teams you've been around and things you've done regarding customer success. And what it can do is it could either get you a customer or potentially save you a customer. So let's dive right into a couple of questions here, Wayne. What makes e-commerce support or customer success customer focused? Like what makes it focused where it really helps out having a great team there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a big part of that could go a number of different ways, but I think the biggest thing anybody can learn is just listening to where customers pain points, things they want to improve on, things like that. I find that to be like the key to that success is just really listening and trying to eliminate a lot of pain points.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And why do support delays cost e-commerce sales? Like what's causing that when support is delayed, how's that cost them sales?
Wow. That one can go a number of different directions, right? But
yeah,
depending on the situation, if agents are not listening to the customer correctly of what exactly is happening, maybe shooting from the hip, again, not listening. I always bring this up, but it's kind of an area where I focus on is you can pick up a lot when they start to explain what's going on. So I think the delay there can be exactly that, is just either shooting from the hip or not hearing the customer outright or asking the right questions to get that information out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you even though you keep saying, listening, that is a key factor. They got to really be listening. And so, how about when it comes to, and I know this definitely probably happened at Miva, and when we get overwhelmed, let's say a lot of people start calling in, how fast should a customer support team be responding? I know sometimes there's metrics and stuff like that, but what have you seen when it comes to response times?
Yeah, so we strived early on to expand our hours long time ago. So we strive to expand our hours, make ourselves available overnight, make ourselves available as much as possible, and getting responses out. Really depends on the level of type of tiers. Like we focus on some VIP accounts that we have certain SLAs around or just standard support lines and such. So the faster we can get those responses out, the faster customers can be handled. But having our availabilities is key, I think, and just really focusing on correct answers. Again, listening to what they're explaining and getting those responses out as fast as possible, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wayne, what about if an e-commerce seller has a small shop that they're still growing and stuff? They may just be able to answer some of these support questions, let's say via email. But how important is it to have some sort of phone or connection that somebody can call when needed?
Oh, the phone is huge, right? Email's one thing. The new thing, the AI is another one that's been extremely helpful for those quick responses. But having that phone call, being able to call somebody right away and either re-explain or explain it in a different way, their issue, hopefully getting across maybe a different technician with a different set of ears or different set of eyes to look at something, it's key. I think it's just huge.
Yeah, here's a follow-up to that. What about using social media as a way to answer questions? Like sometimes they'll either direct message or post something on
Yeah.
your website. How's that work out?
Yeah, we've had that, not a ton, but we've definitely had that to where if somebody does respond via some social media platform of some sort. The one thing that I see here is we have so many, whether it's all the way up to our CEO, some SVPs and or VPs of different departments and such. We have so many people plugged in to listening out there that you'd be surprised that if you do post something, maybe our CEO is going to reply to you, or he'll definitely get that issue in contact with somebody that can handle you. But we don't get a lot of those things on a lot of social media platforms. We do get some, but it's helpful to know that somebody's out there listening.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. When I was running my business, of course, it was hosted by Miva, but when I was running my business, I remember times on the weekend, people would post on social media and they were expecting an answer like immediately. Now, luckily, I had a phone with me and I was able to at least, reply or at least tell them, hey, everybody's out of the office, but we'll get back to you on Monday. And we would definitely at least follow them up. But, when it comes to that was, of course, that was quite a while ago when I ran my business. But nowadays, there's a lot of talk about like bots and AI and like ways to basically handle at least basic questions via like an AI or a bot type thing. What have you seen in that sort of realm?
It's definitely picked up, right? With the AI, the newer technologies as far as AI kicking in, it's definitely picked up some steam. It's helped out, I think, in certain areas where somebody's just trying to get that quick response as far as how to go set up X or do Y. In certain cases, that may not solve for everything, but it's definitely helped get quick responses to somebody to get them down that path that they were trying to accomplish.
And Wayne, this will be kind of a funny one, but what's the percentage of people do you think that actually go read a Q&A section on a website that could possibly solve their problem, or do they just email or call first?
Well, I feel the actual reading of the Q&A might be slightly low. I believe I don't have any stats on that to confirm that, but I do believe that might be a little low, to where they just go the other alternate route.
Yeah. No, I'm going to agree with you on that one. We have this great Q&A. We built all this, built it out, really spent a lot of time on it. And, it's like, not a lot of people read it, even though the answer was right there. I think that's where personally, some of the bots and some of the like AI stuff could probably help, because you feed it a lot into it and then people can maybe ask it questions, but you got to have a point where if it gets to a point they are not getting what they need, it's got to go to a real human, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. There's certain things that just take a little bit of thought process through. I think on a more of a human level, the AI things are great to serve up those pieces, the snippets of information immediately to get somebody going down the right path. Excuse me. For my team and even myself, it's a lot of the either strategy or solutions type talk with somebody like yourself. When you were running a store, it'd be like, hey, if you got that article that you used AI to get or bot to get and served it up, but yet it's not really thinking of your entire business or your flow of things, to where somebody like myself, through conversation or knowing your account, we would kind of like be like, hey, that's a great idea, but remember you got this going on, to where we have to think about, right? So in some cases, the human involvement is needed.
And Wayne, when somebody's getting their store started, whether it's, with Miva or not with Miva, what kind of like automation have you seen that you might be able to suggest to them to help with customer support or customer service?
Yeah, so through the onboarding team that I kind of focus on, we have some onboarding documentation that kind of gets them started, but yet really a lot of it, it's just, I kind of encourage just calling our team immediately, getting used to that, talking to somebody right away, getting used to our how to submit tickets. We do go through a little bit of a verification process. Once you get through that, it's perfectly fine. But we kind of want to make sure who we're dealing with, right? And then the big key there is just like, no, we're here to help. If you don't reach out and you don't talk to us, we're not going to be able to help you, but we understand frustration. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to eliminate all your frustration, but the minute you start to get frustrated, I want you to call us, or I want you to email, whoever. Could be myself. Just we understand the frustration, like I said, but we're here to help.
Yeah, that's perfect. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to ask Wayne a little bit more about when it comes to returns and how that impacts support's experience when people are calling regarding a return, right after this.
Looking to take your e-commerce business to the next level? Meet Miva, the platform powering seamless online stores with the flexibility you need to grow. From custom solutions to user-friendly tools, Miva helps you create unforgettable shopping experiences. Ready to transform your business? Visit miva.com/podcast and see what's possible.
Yeah, so be sure to head on over to miva.com/podcast. We got free downloadables, all kinds of great little tools and tips over there, and we're building it out all the time. So I am on with Wayne Smith, who's our customer success manager at Miva. And of course, everybody knows I work at Miva. And Wayne and I have been friends a long time. But I wanted Wayne to come on because he has such great experience when it comes to customer success, customer support type things or issues that come up. And one of those being returns. And Wayne, could you kind of explain like how do returns impact like the support experience when somebody's trying to get a return then?
Yeah, so of course it all depends on each business. Everybody has their own business rules, how they handle those returns, if they do or don't. But I would say overall, this is that how you handle these influences your customer base, keeps them satisfied or their satisfactory level, let's say, with your company and such like that. So the easier you make things, and or if you can hook in some type of automation, if it's available for you, that take away some of those manual steps if you can, off the customers to make it easier, then it's just gonna be easy. Like I kind of use some examples, and again, the bar is there for, in my opinion, for returns of like a Costco or Amazon, right? They don't really ask a lot of questions. They just say return it or keep it, we refund you. It's like they made it completely easy. But that's my advice, is just evaluating where you can eliminate some things if it's, again, for your business rules, and making sure that you can make it as easy as possible for your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember we kind of had a rule that there were certain products that, because of the cost being low enough, that we just have them keep it. It was more expensive to have it shipped back and deal with it than it was to just let them keep it and make them happy, right? So,
yeah,
you did talk about this a little bit, and I'd like to kind of touch on a little bit more, and that is kind of your policies. Now, what do you think about when it comes to like return policies or support type policies, especially return? How flexible should somebody be versus how kind of rigid should they be when it comes to their return policy? Or is that kind of dependent? And if it is dependent, is it sometimes have to do with how expensive an item is or how not expensive? What have you seen in this?
Yeah, I've seen it go a lot of different ways, right? Again, it really depends on the product line, your costs on everything. It's like you've nailed it, it's a lot to do with the certain products, right? Some you may not care about, like you noted, or not care about, but it may be cost effective not to have it returned and you do anything about it, right? So that's just a huge factor there if the product line and if it's needed.
And Wayne, what about when it comes to like SOPs for customer success and, being able to follow those, especially if, let's say, if you're training somebody new, does Miva have SOPs that maybe a new person follows, or should a e-commerce seller maybe set some up so when they bring somebody new in, they kind of understand maybe some guidelines? It could be return policies or just how to deal with customers.
Yeah, that's a good point, because even in some of my training sessions, we get into just roles, employee roles, what they're handling, what you guys offer. It's really a lot for the business owners to consider what their rules are, right? When it comes to certain things, it could even come down to whether they allow, refunds, or if they, go as far as, first, please try to offer some type of account credit, which you can add to like a customer record inside our software. And then returning customers can easily use that account credit, to use towards purchases. It could be if you guys allow that or not. So those are those conversations that I try to like encourage the business owners to have with their team members, and then put something in place and just try to, follow it as much as possible. And then it's really up to them whether they, allow their team members to, make decisions on their behalf or not. But they do want to consider all those different types of things, and try to stick to it as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a really interesting thing there regarding like training. How much time should somebody spend training, or again, does it depend on the type of product they're selling?
Definitely depends on the product they're selling, depends on their staff, the availability, for their team members. Depending on the role, I think it would also factor in skill levels, right? What they're comfortable with. But we have a number of different ways to do certain things. Updating products, for an example, can be handled a couple different ways. And I try to train customers on their comfort levels there. What are you comfortable with? And so forth.
Yeah. What about when it comes to, peak season? Obviously Q4 or Christmas times, kind of a peak time when a lot of people are dealing with customer service, customer support issues, whether it's shipping or whatever. How have you seen when it comes to like kind of just peak overload? How have people handled that, or what should support teams do to handle that?
That's a good question. So the peak times, of course, you want to try to, not overly staff, but in some cases, you may have a need for certain backup plans in case things happen, right? I've talked about it a couple different ways, where if I notice a customer's only using one real-time shipping method and it's getting near holiday season, I kind of want to encourage a couple things, whether they consider a fallback or an alternate shipping methods and or a fallback method to be configured, so that if something happens, like a provider could get overloaded with a bunch of requests at some time during the holiday season, that may cause an interruption in rates being returned or something. It can happen, doesn't happen, all the time, but you kind of want to just kind of, in a way, plan for what may happen, and just have certain backup plans. I know some customers will go as far as having maybe a backup payment gateway. Is that excessive? Yes, no, but if something happens, then you could easily switch. So you kind of want to try to plan for the worst, I guess.
Yeah, Wayne, what's the most common support mistakes you've seen when it comes to customer success?
Wow, that can go a lot of different directions there. Most common, I would say right off the bat, maybe distraction. And an example being is just recently a customer team, a marketing team was trying to work on wanted to work on a price group for discounting and such, but got interrupted part of the way through and accidentally left some products they were testing in that price group. And, it's just one of those things, just got distracted and then walked away from an incomplete setup.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which is perfect. It kind of led me into, I was going to ask you more about a personal support experience, kind of a worse scenario you've dealt with, and kind of give us you don't have to name any names, but could you give us maybe an example of a really bad situation you've had to deal with?
Yeah, years ago, this is a long time ago. So years ago, a customer called up and didn't realize it, but they were using a testing method for allowing orders to go through. It did not do any sort of real-time authentication as far as funds or transactions. I think they left this test payment gateway in place for a little over a month and a half or so. So they took on quite a few orders and had no funds to to report on it. So they had to actually call each customer and try to retrieve it, but they shipped out all their products and all their orders for a while. They just didn't know that, they didn't have a clear understanding of that setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about when it comes to customer success or support? Is there any phrases or words people shouldn't use other than the obvious ones? Like, should they not say no, or, hey, I don't know the answer? Like, what have you seen on that?
Oh, I encourage everybody to tell them if they don't know. So that's one of the things that when I would help train either other employees or support reps or, customer service agents, even talking with customers, I'm going to tell you if I don't know. But the great thing that if that's said is we have a large amount of people in this team at Miva that know a lot. Know much more than I do in a lot of different areas, and I can lean on them and get answers to those questions that a customer has, that if I may not have experience with it, that may not be in my exact wheelhouse, I could definitely lean on somebody and get an answer for them. And I've got no problem saying, I don't know, let me get you that answer. The one thing that I try to teach and coach a lot of is don't shoot from the hip, don't guess. If you don't know, you tell them you don't know, and then let's go find it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wayne, before we transition into kind of talking a little more about your background, what got you into customer success and got you to Miva and stuff like that, I got a fun little question for you. So would you rather deal with 100 support tickets or one angry caller that calls in regarding support issues?
I do really like one angry caller, only because I kind of like to turn that frown upside down. And I think you've known me long enough to where I think I do a really good job of listening and picking out areas where if somebody's got a misconception of maybe how the software works or what it doesn't do to them. And when I know it does, it's just I need to teach them. So in some cases that one angry customer is appealing to me because I kind of want to hear what they're mad about. And if they're mad about something that it truly doesn't do, or I know that our software team could possibly like release something to address this, that's why they need to be talking to us. They have something on their mind that doesn't fit their business needs, and maybe we need to add that to the software. It's that simple. Like,
I love that answer. That's exactly you. You're just like that too. And that, I mean that in a positive way. It really is.
Yeah.
Wayne loves to solve those issues and get in and try to figure it out. And then if not, try to see what can we do to maybe fix that down the road or potentially fix something that would solve that for them. So great answer there, Wayne.
It's that, right? If it's a valid argument and it's lacking in the software, let's make software know about it.
Absolutely. So Wayne, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about like what got you into the customer success team over at Miva? Maybe what did you do prior to that? I know there's a story there. I've heard it, but I tell a little bit of others about that.
Yeah, so I joined Miva in the early 2000s, worked in the support team. So first line support, worked my way up into the support engineering role after like a couple of years. Our company got bought by another company, of course, and then they ran with everything for a couple of years around the 2005 to 2007 mark when Rick and Russ and company bought the company back. I was fortunate enough to keep in contact with Rick and periodically, and he hit me up and said, "Hey man, would love an opportunity to talk to you, like see what's going on." And I was like, "Oh, wonderful." And I joked about, "Hey, we getting the band back together," not knowing he was going to actually try to buy the company back. So when they bought the company back in 2007, I came back on board, and we built up our support team, brought it back in-house and back into the United States and such, and just kind of ran from there. And then we were very fortunate to, join forces with the likes of like David and just magical, partnerships all over the place, and the correct partnerships, I would say, ideal partnerships for our product line, our customer base and such like that. So it's been a wild ride and fun. And I've enjoyed all of it and going through the support teams and running or advising on other departments, and then seeing a position for the customer success team as far as getting in there and helping all of them really, but with a focus on some of the new accounts that are boarding and such like that, and making sure they're comfortable with the software and know where to go to get answers and or their team answers or training and such like that.
Absolutely. And wait, Wayne, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about this Ask Wayne video series that you've been doing, and maybe kind of what you cover and what's that all about?
Yeah, so that started because years ago, there was kind of a thing, and it kind of goes back to your question earlier about the angry, one angry customer, 100 support tickets. It's eventually, if somebody gets upset enough, it's like, hey, let's, they'll bring on somebody like myself. Could be, Nick Atkins, could be Brennan Heidi's, think team members like that, Joe Burton from the development side of things, just those that are going to sit back and really try to like dissect and listen to everything. And so that's kind of where our vision of the Ask Wayne, I think, came from, is just like those little snippets and let me sit with you. If somebody's upset with how the software runs, or new team members or new employees, let me sit with you and make sure that you understand all the different ways to go achieve X. And then your team just puts your procedures in place and just handles it. So that's kind of where it came from, is just that series is just, hey, we're going to cover some topics. And then the last portion of it, whether it's 10 or 15 minutes of it, is kind of questions do you have for us? Like, again, if you don't ask those questions, or if you don't know, or we don't know that something's annoying, one too many clicks, two too many clicks, something like that, we don't try to fix it. So that's what some of that Ask Wayne sessions are about. We'll teach you, cover some features, and then kind of leave it open to ask certain questions, things we don't know of, use cases, things we're not thinking of. It's definitely a great area for people to voice, how to do certain things, or voice the feature they're looking for. It's just another avenue to get in contact with us. Now that I have Rick joining us, these last few ones and hopefully future ones, it's ideal because he's right there. He can answer a lot of questions, maybe even say, hey, the company's already thinking of something similar to that, because he has the vision of the roadmaps, everything coming. So it's a great addition for our customer base to join these webinars, learn something that's coming or learn something that's out, and then have a little forum to ask us questions, similar to what you've seen at our conferences, right? Like at the end of like, hey, ask us anything type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely recommend going check out the Ask Wayne series. We have them, I think, on our YouTube. If not, they're embedded in the Miva site. A lot of them are dedicated more towards if you're already a Miva client, but even if you're not, and you want to learn a little bit more about what we got coming up, what we're doing, maybe what people are concerned about or trying to get fixed, definitely check out the Ask Wayne series. Before we go, Wayne, first of all, thank you for being on. But second of all, I want to give a quick little shout out and a little story in the shout out. So if y'all don't know, I was a Miva client for over 15 years, and Wayne being one of my main contacts. But there's another guy who's not on here right now, who's in our support team, still works at Miva. A big shout out to Raphael. And the quick story I got to give is, I remember I'm running my website, and I'm just so focused on running it that, all of a sudden my SSL certificate, which is what you need to basically be secure when you're checking out, ran out. And I remember just panicking. It was like a Friday at 4:00, and I'm like, oh crap, I got to get this like fixed. And I get a hold of, I think it was either you or Raphael, but I do remember Raphael calling me back, and he's like, Rob, I talked to Wayne. We just went ahead and installed it, upped it, charged your card, you're done. And I was like, man, 4:00 on a Friday, the team was there to help me. Hence why I stick with Miva for such a long time, and until I sold my business. And man, it's been great being on the other side of the fence working it here at Miva. And of course, it was really fun to see Wayne and Raphael and everybody when I came back in, as an employee versus a client. And it's been absolutely a great time. Wayne, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Definitely a topic we've not talked about, and a lot of people I think could benefit really understanding, their support and what they can do with it. It can make or break sometimes, a customer, keeping a customer, or possibly getting a new customer. And, be sure to, re-listen to this and really listen to what Wayne said, because touched on a lot of great points. Wayne, thanks so much for being on, and thank you everybody for listening. We'll catch you all on the next episode.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for tuning in to Ecommerce Revamped. Ready to take your e-commerce business to the next level? Visit Miva.com for the tools to build seamless online stores and unforgettable customer experiences. Until next time, keep your carts full and your customers happy.